Okay, sorry about that, guys. I think we are live here. Just let me double check something real quick. All right, so I believe that we are live. Sorry about that. I just had a quick technical issue. I was working out getting started on this, but I think we're good as usual. Yep. If there are any issues with the audio, with the video, please let me know. I think that there is maybe about a minute of lag in the live stream, but definitely let me know. I do want to get started kind of on this topic, kind of quicker than later, sooner than later, just because I know that a lot of people are going to want to tune into this topic at a later date, and we're going to obviously keep this live stream on the channel for you guys to review anytime. But today we're going to be talking about successful music producer habits. Now, this is definitely a topic that I absolutely love talking about. We've had this idea for this live stream for a while now, and it's definitely something that I've been taking a really big interest in, especially the past 2 or 3 years. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm excited to share with you guys. I know that this is kind of a different format to our usual live streams that we've been doing. And the way that I'm planning on doing this one is we have this kind of slideshow presentation that I want to run through. And then towards the end, I want to leave it open for some questions and answers. So if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, any topics you want me to discuss, feel free to leave them in the chat. I'm going to, after I get through all these topics, I'm then going to go into the chat so that I can go back into other slides and yeah, all that stuff too. But obviously, before we get started, I do want to just ask you guys, please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button. We do 2 live streams a month on the La 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 YouTube channel. We post a lot of videos throughout the month. We've really kind of been amping up our content game recently, and we have a lot of cool stuff on the way that I don't want you guys to miss out on. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Our website link is right there, lalali, LALAL.ai. Type that in your browser. We have a mobile app. And there was a recent update to the Lalali server. If you guys haven't seen it already, they've been calling it Orion. In the last live stream I had, in the last video on this channel where I broke down some Halloween songs, I tried out the basically new update to the system, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I've been using it so much, but yeah, shameless plug right there. If you guys want to check out what we're all about. So anyways, let's get started right here. So I figured, sorry about that. I figure I would start this kind of topic by introducing myself. I know some of you guys might know me from my YouTube channel or my Instagram. Other, of you guys watching may have seen me on the Lalali channel or the Instagram, but basically, my name is Tim, and I produce under name Omido or Omido Beats, and I'm a music producer who has been selling beats online for about 13 and a half years right now. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Canada. This is my full-time job, and since I made my YouTube channel back in 2010 and posted my beats on there, I've been able to grow this kind of, passion for music and me creating music into this whole large thing where I've basically grown it to over 250,000 followers online. I've had over 100 million views on my beats across, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, BeatStars, all that stuff. There's a little picture of me with my YouTube plaque. And I've, turned this into a business where every year I sell beats online to thousands of artists worldwide. And over the 13 years I've been doing this, I've been able to generate over $1 million in income from my beats. So definitely been a long time coming. Been a lot of hard work, and it's this is everything to me. I'm really truly thankful for this position I'm in, and I've learned a lot, and I want to definitely share it with you guys. And all of these numbers, all these statistics aside, what's most important here is that I started music as a hobby and a passion, and eventually, grew it year after year, grew it slowly, grew it into this, you know, kind of platform and business and operation that I can rely on as a source of income. And all of this is due to the habits that I've built over years. Over the years, 13 years ago, I was finishing high school, just starting my YouTube channel. I then went to college. Did 3 years of college, had a couple full time jobs, and still did music on the side. And I know, maybe there's a lot of you guys watching who are also doing music on the side when you're working another 9 to 5 job. I've definitely been there. I know what it's like. And that's kind of what I wanted to do for this live stream, was to talk about stuff like that, because I've been in that position. I've figured out some things. There are things that I wish I did kind of differently when I was, in those 9 to 5 jobs, in college, not doing music full time. There are things that I've figured out that I wish I did during those periods. And I think if I did, it would have made, releasing and making music easier, and kind of would have helped me get a little bit of head in those periods where you're not always able to spend all day working on music or promoting your songs. And that's all of the stuff that I want to talk about today. So, like I said, I've been selling beats online for about 13 and a half years now, but the past 3 years, I've really kind of ramped it up into kind of the next level for myself. Like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years, but the past 3 years have been my best years ever. I know that there's a lot of producers who, are always blaming things like, oh, selling beats online is dead, being an independent musician is dead. I've personally found this to be completely not true, because, like I said, these past 3 years have been my best years ever in terms of sales, engagement, content, views, subscribers, followers. And it's a lot of, all of this kind of attributes to these life hacks that I've learned these past 3 years. So, and this is stuff that I'm all going to dive into as well. Lots to talk about with each of these points. But my biggest life hacks that I've kind of figured out are time management, organization. On these next few slides, I have a lot of information that kind of dives into each of those and why it's so important. And it's also been like really important for me the past 3 years to figure out who I am as a musician. All these things took me 10 years to figure out. I remember, about 10, 13 years ago on YouTube, I was just making music. I was posting it online. I didn't have a game plan. I wasn't consistent. I didn't know anything about marketing or branding or content creation. I don't really know if Instagram was even a thing back then. I know it was kind of like just starting. And it's basically just been kind of, a whole decade of me figuring out what it takes to get my music out there. And like I said, sell beats to thousands of artists, get 100 million views online. It's definitely a big journey, and building all these habits and working on these things over time definitely has paid off for myself. So I think that like the main thing that I've learned over these, 13 years of being online, 13 years of selling beats online, is that success comes from consistency, of course, right? I see a lot of producers and rappers and singers and musicians. A lot of people message me on Instagram a lot of times, and they ask me for advice. How do they get their music out there? How do they get more plays? How do they get more followers? How do they get more beat sales? And oftentimes I go on their, Instagram or their YouTube or their Spotify, and I just kind of like to dive in and see what they're kind of up to. And I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen, people ask me questions, and I go on their page, and the last time they put out a song was like, 6 months ago. And the last Instagram they post was like, 3 months ago, and they post like 2 times in the past year. And to me, when I see stuff like that, the answer is kind of clear to me, right? And the way that I kind of view music these days is that there are so many musicians, producers, creators who are releasing music on almost like a daily basis, right? I often hear producers, kind of talk, and there's this kind of myth with music producers selling beats online that is beat selling saturated? Is the market too saturated? I don't think that the market is too saturated at all, But I do think that there is a lot of competition. There are a lot of hungry creators and musicians out there who are willing to post content on a nearly daily basis. And I always keep in mind, it's like, am I keeping up with these people who are absolutely just grinding when it comes to music and content and releases and everything about their music, right? Those are the people who kind of I've seen, grow further and further, even than I have after 13 years. There are people who have just been, ultra consistent these past 2 years that have really, really taken off. And it's just something that I always keep in mind, right? Like, you can have the absolute best song in the whole world, right? Like, let's say, you are sitting right now on a song that you truly believe is the best song ever made, better than any song you've ever heard, and it could be sitting on your hard drive. And it's like, what good is that if nobody is hearing your stuff, learning about you, right? There are musicians and producers, and I apologize because I don't want to sound negative here. I mean, this is my opinion, and I don't mean any negativity at all. But there are some like producers who, I hear their beats, and I don't think that their beats are on the same level as mine. I think that, honestly, not meaning to brag, but like, I think that, I've heard songs before that I don't think are really that good. And again, that's my opinion, but their work ethic is so strong that they've exceeded me, right? So it doesn't even matter, my opinion. They've just done what is working for them, continue to, grind and push content and push songs. And again, they're levels ahead of me, right? There's always going to be people who are grinding harder, and those are the people that I want to keep up with, right? I know that success doesn't happen overnight. I remember hearing this quote a few years back. It was from some YouTuber, and I apologize that I don't remember the exact source or the exact quote, but they were saying things like they would hate to basically blow up overnight. Because if you're in a position where, let's say you drop a song, it just goes crazy viral, right? 10 million like views like in a week, like crazy viral, millions of plays online. If you don't follow that up with basically consistent stuff, you're going to have a one-hit wonder, basically, right? I would much rather like, continuously like build like, a whole strong catalog of songs, so that when I have that one song that does go like viral and, grows further and faster than my other ones, I have a couple things in mind, like going on. I have a whole collection of songs that I'm really proud of, that are really strong, so people can go back, listen to my whole catalog, and I will have the kind of work ethic installed in my brain that I can follow that up with stuff, right? Like if I had a one hit wonder tomorrow, just a song that blew up viral, and I wasn't ready to continuously follow that up with anything, I would see just a quick up and down, right? All of this stuff, all this work ethic and focus on consistency is going to help you basically increase the longevity of your music career. And also, there's stuff that I'm going to talk about that also plays a lot of factor into like social media algorithms, right? My YouTube channel for the longest time was like dead. It was so stagnant. Same with my Instagram. This was because, I was posting stuff. I was kind of consistent with beats when I first started, posting my stuff online, selling beats. And then I went through a couple of years where I wasn't really consistent. I didn't really have a game plan. My YouTube channel was just stagnant. I think I was losing subscribers on a month-to-month basis. My views were at their lowest. My YouTube income was at their lowest. My sales weren't growing. I was getting like 0 followers a month on Instagram. And then when I started to kind of focus more on consistency, some other, habits I'm going to discuss in a few slides, my YouTube channel is kind of at the highest that it's almost ever been. My Instagram account went from 30K followers, which I know is still a lot, but it was stagnant for years. It went from 30K to 100K in about 2.5 years, 2.5, almost 3 years, I guess. And now it's basically easy for me when I put out a piece of content online, when I put out a new YouTube video, or when I put out a new Instagram video, the algorithm on both these platforms are basically trained in a way that is going to show my content to people easier. So, like after, 2 to 3 years of posting stuff on YouTube, now YouTube's algorithm knows exactly what to expect from me. I'm like super consistent, and they're going to continuously push that content out to the right people. And it just makes it's so much easier for me to, get my music out there and truly make this, in some ways like a passive stream of income. So this is like kind of how I've become consistent. Like I said, I haven't always been consistent. It's been something the past 2 or 3 years that I've been more focused on, and the results are better than they ever have been, right? And like I said, I did music through college, through jobs, part-time and full-time. I know that it's kind of daunting in a way to hear that you have to make and post content daily. And I kind of want to give like a little like anecdote recently. I met a friend recently, and they were just starting like a business, and they were just kind of getting into social media, content creation. And like I said, the past 2.5, 3 years, I took my Instagram from 30K followers to 100K followers organically. Better success than I've ever had through, paid ads on Facebook, on Instagram, email campaigns, YouTube campaigns. Any paid form of media hasn't compared to the results I've gotten organically from posting content consistently on Instagram, posting reels almost on a daily basis. And I told him, I said, this sounds crazy, but my biggest recommendation would be post reels on Instagram every day for 3 years. 3 years from now, you will be at this crazy level, probably ahead of what you even expected. And I remember like their reaction was like, that sounds impossible, right? And I feel like it sounds impossible, but 3 years ago, like I said, my Instagram was stagnant. My sales were stagnant. I wasn't moving the needle in any way, and I wasn't pushing out content online. I wasn't posting enough beats. I didn't have a game plan. And then I remember, about like, 2.5, 3 years ago, I started kind of this new focus on consistency. And I just started posting every single day on Instagram. Some days it was tough. I missed some days. I missed, a week or two here and there, but I was just always kind of focused on the bigger picture of things. It used to take like 1 to 2 hours to create a piece of content. And now, like, there's some content that takes longer, but there are other pieces of content I post that I make in 15 minutes and they get 100K views in a day on Instagram. And I think back, like, just my perspective of 3 years of like uber consistency on Instagram, especially with reels, posting reels almost every single day. It feels like time has flown by really quickly. And looking at kind of in retrospect, it doesn't really feel like it didn't really feel as hard as it sounded. As crazy as it sounds, right? Like, I know it's crazy to think like, oh, just post reels on Instagram every day for 3 years. But, me looking back at the past 3 years, it feels like nothing now. Like, I just did that, and I grew my account 70K followers from that. And again, of course, over time, it's gotten easier. I figured out what worked. I figured out what didn't work. I spent a lot of hours doing it. And now it's definitely easier for me to, say that now with all this, work put in. But, I just thought that was kind of interesting to share that, like, to me, yeah, it does sound crazy, posting stuff daily. But in retrospect now, for me doing it, it doesn't seem like it was too tough. If that kind of gives any, inspiration to anyone out there. But basically, yeah, I've overcome consistency in 2 ways. And I'm going to talk about each of these points, but the biggest thing for me has definitely been creating an efficient workflow. How can I put stuff out easier than ever? Like I said, I was posting stuff on Instagram It used to take me a couple hours to make a piece of content. I figured out how to basically streamline the process, make things easier, make things more efficient, where I can get to a point where now I can make a piece of Instagram content that promotes my music in 15 minutes. And when you do that, when you kind of make things easier for yourself, eliminate the time, creating and guessing and wondering what to create, that'll give you a chance to basically get ahead and schedule your content and releases, your beats, your songs, your albums, your promotional material. I truly think that like one of the greatest secrets and like the biggest key to success is scheduling your content online, which I'm going to talk about. But if you schedule your content online and you get ahead of yourself, I find that basically is like almost a surefire way for you to make sure you're not missing any release dates. Like you're still putting in that work, but when you're working in the future, like when you're working for the future, sorry, you can make sure you're hitting those specific dates, right? I mean, anyone can go, home right now, make a song or a video or a beat and post it online. But then if you're not doing that in a couple days from now, you're going to kind of lose that consistency. So scheduling content is definitely kind of becoming a big lifesaver to myself in a lot of ways. So as I was saying, like the biggest life hack that I found, aside from like scheduling content, this kind of contributes to it, sorry, has been just making my workflow more efficient. And I'll talk a little bit about what I mean by this. But, I've been on YouTube for 13 years. So now I spent about 10 years on YouTube. Don't get me wrong, I was definitely having fun with music. I was absolutely loving it, but I was super inconsistent with my titles, with my branding, with my sound. I would post a Drake beat, and then I would post an Eminem beat, and then I would post a Justin Bieber type beat, and then an EDM beat, and all the styles look differently. And I didn't really I just didn't really have like a game plan. Like I was definitely having fun doing it, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't until when I figured out, what to create and what my audience was doing, then I could get to a point where I'm able to produce beats quicker. For example, or just for some context, about 3 years ago, I started kind of looking closer into my analytics. This was 10 years after I started posting my beats online. I didn't really care about any analytics till about 10 years, and that's probably the biggest mistake that I made. I started looking at my analytics, and I started to kind of pay closer attention to things that were working, right? I remember I had one beat that I posted. It got a little bit more views, a little bit more subscribers. The click-through rate was a little bit higher. It was getting a little bit more sales. And I was like, okay. Well, there's probably a reason here. Why is this one beat or this song, why is this track getting more views? There's got to be a reason for it, right? So I was like, okay, what is it about this? Is it the artwork that I did? Is it the drums? Is it the chords? Is it the melodies? Is it like the branding and the hashtags and everything like that? So I was like, okay, this is clearly sticking out a little bit more than my other 10 beats that I've posted online, or 10 years of beats I posted online. So I was like, okay, how about I try and duplicate this success? So I put out another beat with similar drums, similar chords, similar melodies, kind of packaged it in the same way. And, clearly enough, or greatly enough, like that beat kind of had similar results. It did a little bit better than my other ones too. So I was like, okay, there's something I've struck here, right? Where I then, from there, I started to make more beats in a similar style, similar drums, similar pianos, similar keys, similar melodies, similar artwork. And eventually I've got to the point where I've I feel like I've kind of figured out my signature style in a way, right? And this has been the best life hack that I've learned, figuring out my signature style. And this, was definitely a result from a lot of years of basically throwing a bunch of different ideas at the wall and then actually paying attention to what was sticking. And for the longest time, I was just throwing stuff at the wall, right? I was having fun doing it, but I wasn't paying attention to what stuck. I was throwing stuff at the wall one day, and then, I finally paid attention to, hey, this one thing is sticking. Let me do more stuff like that. And that was kind of the turning point for everything that I've been doing. And that's contributed to me having my biggest sales these past 3 years. I've had more customers. I've been able to revive my YouTube channel, my Instagram. People are buying more beats from me. And again, now when I come into my studio and I'm like, okay, I'm inspired. I want to make a couple beats today. I don't need to think about what to make. I've figured out what to make, what my audience reacts to. And by scheduling stuff, I can say, okay, I have stuff scheduled 2 days from now, 4 days now, 6 days from now. I know that I need to make a beat for, if I'm doing it every other day, I need to make something for 8 days from now and 10 days from now. So it's like, okay, I have 2 days where I need to make some beats for. I know exactly what to make. So I make a beat like that, I schedule it, it's done. I make another beat for the other day, schedule it, it's done. And that kind of workflow and that mindset and kind of working in the routine like that has, again, contributed to my most successful years ever. It also comes to a point too where I'm sure everyone figures this out along the way, and this definitely, I had to figure out too, especially on Instagram. I was doing things like, I think on the next slide or two, I'm going to kind of show an example of my Instagram, but I was trying out a lot of different kind of styles with Instagram, like videos. Like I was setting up professional like cameras. I have all this fancy lighting gear behind me. I was making all these like professionally looking edited videos, and they were taking like hours to produce, right? And the results were okay. I was having fun doing it, but it was taking way too much time. So I was like, okay, how can I kind of streamline this process a little bit? Like everything is taking way too long with all the lights, with all my fancy cameras and tripods. So I was like, okay, this is obviously taking way too long. It's not sustainable. I was like, I'm going to try just filming videos now with my iPhone. Camera's good enough. I can just whip out my phone, take a couple videos, edit it together on the computer. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it now. It's still perceived pretty well. This allows me to make content easier. I cut down that time in half. And now it's like, okay, now I'm editing the videos on the computer and it's taking a long time. Can I edit them on my phone, like within Instagram or within TikTok's app? And it's like, okay, I can do that. I can get the job done. So it allows me to make it quicker, right? It's all these things, basically just what works for you. You obviously need to figure out something, whether it be making beats or making content, promoting your beats or your songs. What can you do kind of in a sustainable way? So again, here's a screenshot of my Instagram. This is what I was talking about. Now, if anyone goes on my Instagram right now at Omito Beats, they would see a lot of the content that I post is a big secret here, but it's very formulaic, right? And this is a screenshot of posts I've had basically within the past 2-ish weeks. But I mean, the views have been absolutely crazy on some of these posts. It's been really good, but a lot of my posts have become very formulaic, and I don't think that is a bad thing at all. This is a result of me posting on Instagram almost on a daily basis for 2 to 3 years now. And I've basically landed on this formula that works well for me to produce. Like I can make these videos in like 15 minutes. My audience, reacts very positively to them. A lot of people hear my beats and they purchase them. The algorithm the algorithm on Instagram knows they can depend on me to constantly release content like this. So then the algorithm is going to push my videos out further and further to more people. And it's just done like a lot of wonders, I guess, to my beat selling business, where I'm at a point where, companies, they sponsor and they purchase beats and get me to, make music for them, for their audio libraries, because they see that I'm dependable. Rappers and singers, they know what to expect when they purchase or when they, hear beats and need beats and go to my page now. And by posting, these types of videos so many times, people start to kind of subconsciously remember, your branding, right? If they see it enough times, they're going to kind of like catch on. So now it's like everyone kind of, sees these stuff and they know it's me posting beats like this. And again, it's just another example of how you have to be so consistent, right? If I was going to Starbucks every day, getting an iced coffee, every single day for like, a year, and then if I go one day and they're serving like spaghetti or something random, I'm going to kind of be like, I don't know if I want to come back to this Starbucks because I don't know what to expect, right? And I think that's like like so many people, kind of in the online space, especially with beats, say like you have to be super consistent with it. It wasn't like I kind of neglected that for the longest time. And now I've really realized the true potential in consistency. And when you have something that works, keep doing it over and over and over. That's my biggest like piece of advice right there. Same thing on YouTube, right? You look at these two playlists I have, it's kind of the same workflow, right? This top playlist here, you can see I'm doing things, consistent thumbnails, got the titles, the way that it's kind of even titled on YouTube is consistent. And again, I'm a diverse producer. Like I don't stick to specifically one style of music. I do some hip hop stuff. I do some rap. I do some indie rock, indie pop, EDM type of beats. But even though I'm like kind of diverse, I'm consistent in a few ways. I know it's kind of like an oxymoron, I guess, but I'm consistent in ways that I produce beats. Like even my EDM beats and my hip hop beats, even though they're two different genres of music, there's a lot of like my signature Omido beat style that I add with all of these beats, regardless of genre. And that kind of helps me develop my own signature sound and my signature style. I forget my my second point there, but basically I'm just I've been like consistent, right? And these beats are similar to these beats in this playlist, and then these ones are all similar as well. So I also use a lot of tools to basically my advantage. I talked a lot about like analytics on YouTube and Instagram, and it wasn't until when I was paying attention to what was working was when I was able to basically kind of duplicate that success. Like I said, on YouTube, I started to look for what videos were getting more views, more subscribers, higher click-through rates. I think I took, eventually my click-through rates on YouTube from like 1% to like 13% on some videos just by constantly trying to get better and better and better. And I posted a video with a thumbnail, saw it performed well, tried to basically duplicate that success. You got to use like the tools and analytics, and that's something I wish that I definitely kind of paid attention to earlier on in my music career. Using tools like definitely is going to make your life easier. I use Lullaby a lot for custom beats with people. If people are recording demos to songs that they hear online, they need a custom beat rather than like asking them for their vocal files. So many times I've just ran their stuff through Lullaby, separate their vocals, and then build a beat around it. I also use ChatGPT sometimes to come up with like ideas and inspiration. Sometimes I use like AI tools to come up with melodies or learn better things about productions. I don't know, like I don't think like these tools are gonna they're not gonna take over music production. They just allow me to, instead of like, for example, I use this one a lot with Lullaby, but like if I'm trying to like learn like a bass guitar rhythm of a song or produce like bass lines easier, instead of me like sitting there for hours to a song really trying to like listen to the bass line closely, I can run it through Lullaby, separate the bass stem, and then I can just hear that quicker. So like I'm still paying attention to it, but it just helps me basically do things easier and speeds up my process, right? Again, scheduling and organization tools are super, super important. I use Google Calendar a lot. Every time like I have like a video or, a new song being released online, I put it in my Google Calendar and I kind of look at it from a month perspective. And I say, okay, I have this song coming out on Friday. I need to plan something for 2 or 3 weeks now, right? And then I kind of work backwards to make sure that I'm doing what it takes to schedule out songs to hit those targets. So again, I put this on the next slide. I left this just kind of blank here on this slide just to reiterate this point. The biggest life hack that I've learned that has helped me become more consistent was when one thing is perceived better, try and recreate that. That should say try to recreate that success. Just try and duplicate it, right? If you could post one post online and it could get a little bit better views, or maybe post a song and it gets 10 more plays, or you post a video and it gets 2 more subscribers. It's like, okay, what can I do with this information? How can I duplicate that? How can I re-spark that? And then when you keep doing that over and over and over, you'll get to a point where you kind of establish your workflow, and you basically make this consistent process that you can duplicate, and your audience is going to react well to. So again, my biggest personal goal right now is just getting better at scheduling stuff. Like I said, the past 2 or 3 years, I've been pretty consistent, on a daily basis with Instagram. There are times where, I miss a couple days or I miss a week, right? Same with YouTube. I'm trying to post every single day. There are times where I miss certain days, and I know it's not the end of the world, but for me personally, I want to make sure I'm hitting all these targets. So that's a goal for myself. So I know that, I want to put out beats every single day. I want to put out Instagram content every single day promoting my videos. I know that this is, there are competitors in my space doing the same thing. I want to keep up with them, right? And in some ways, I want to exceed them. Well, it's like, okay, how am I going to achieve this ambitious goal? Well, I need to make an efficient workflow, right? I need to, like I said, my beats, I've kind of threw a lot of stuff at the wall, and now I've figured out okay, these are the 2 or 3 genres that perform well with my audience. Now I come into my studio. Now I have my calendar open. Now I know, okay, I got to schedule stuff for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So there's 3 different genres right there, or 3 different beats that I can make based on what I've posted online that has already performed well, and that I've studied the analytics that makes that my audience reacts well to. And then I also wanted to add another point here, that there is a fine balance, I think, between quality and quantity. And I kind of talked about this in the beginning. I know that some people are probably thinking they're okay, if you're just putting stuff online for the sake of posting stuff online, that's quality over quantity. And yeah, totally, right? You shouldn't just be posting stuff just for the sake of posting. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing is based off of, studying a lot of my beats and my analytics and making sure that they are top quality stuff, right? I could just post stuff online, just quickly making these quick trap beats, or use loops from Splice or whatever, make quick beats, post them online, post, right? Instead, what I've done is okay, I figured out that, these beats sell better for my audience. They get more views. I can produce them easily. To me, these are my best quality product. So now I just want to amp up the production of that product. I definitely don't want to lose quality, I don't want to lose quality. But I'm just keeping in mind that there are people who are doing stuff on a daily basis. There are artists who are releasing music on Spotify every week, every other week. You could have the best album or the best beat ever, and like I said, you could post it once on YouTube, and then what are you doing besides that, right? This past year, I've gotten 2 beats on YouTube that have hit 1 million plays. Absolutely crazy to me. 1 million plays on 2 separate beats on YouTube. Those, in a lot of ways, those 2 videos, they hit 1 million plays this year. They're 1 to 2 years old, these beats. And they're still getting views. They're still getting subscribers. They're getting beat sales. They're definitely carrying a lot of kind of weight to my channel and bringing in a lot of income for myself, right? And I've kind of the way I see it is okay, those 2 beats, they took me obviously, a while to figure out what goes into them, make them good, study my analytics, make the best product I can. I put it out there. The product was very well perceived. The beats, they've been selling very well. So now, like, I think of it like, okay, I'm having a little campfire. Those two beats are the big logs on the fire, right? I spent like so much time, this is, I don't know where I'm going with this kind of analysis here, but I've spent so much time going through the forest, building, like growing these trees. I've got two big logs that are on the fire right now. Now I want to basically make sure that the fire doesn't burn out. So I want to add more sticks and more logs onto the fire. So I follow that up with more content, more beats that are like similar to it. That's also stuff that trains like the YouTube algorithm that's like, okay, we didn't just have one beat that we posted that took off. We have that one beat that took off, but we're also, again, putting more logs on the fire, keeping it burning. So that beat that is, got a million plays and it's doing so well and people are still viewing it, YouTube's going to keep that up there because it's still, like, it's bringing in attention and I'm still kind of building the fire bigger and bigger and bigger, if that makes sense. That's just always the way I think about it. I think a lot of times, like, your environment definitely contributes to your success. And I think in two ways. Talking about your workspace here. I'm in my studio, I'm fortunate to have this place, but it's just a place where I can make music, where I can make content easier. I'm always basically trying to figure out ways that I can produce content more easier. I have a fancy light there, I have a fancy light behind me. I have a camera set up here, and a webcam and a microphone. So it's like, okay, I'm coming in here to make music or make videos now, promoting my music. I just come in here and everything is like plugged in. I have a keyboard right here. I have headphones here. I got everything that I need. Obviously, I know that like not everyone is like this, but you just always have to figure out ways that you can make things easier. I don't want to have to come in my studio every day, plug in my guitars, plug in my headset, set up lights. I'd rather just come in here and create. And even, talking about like the digital side of things, like I make sure like all my stuff is backed up online. So if I ever need something quick, I can easily find it. Even, talking about online things. This is definitely a big point that I want to drive home here. Sorry about that. It's just like you have to make sure that your online environment in a way is clean and consistent and it's easy for people to see what you do. If I went on your Instagram or your YouTube page right now, I should be able to tell within like 5 seconds who you are like as an artist and what your style of music is. If I have to scroll through stuff to find your music, I'm going to get less interested, right? And this is kind of a big philosophy that I've always kind of modeled my whole beat selling business and everything I do around is just like it has to be easy. Like I said, I've been on rappers and singers and beat makers and producers. I've been on their Instagram before where it's like I can't, like, the last time you posted a beat or a video or like a song was like 6 months ago. And it's like, well, that's not like easy for me to find, or if I have to like scroll through a bunch of random posts, it's not easy for me to see. I used to have just one Instagram for both my music and my personal life, and I was sharing stuff for like my friends and family and my beats. And I realized, it got to a point where now it's like people are going to my page wanting to hear my beats, and they're all of a sudden like seeing pictures of me with like my family and my friends and stuff. And it's like, that's going to confuse people, right? So it's like, it has to be really easy for people to just understand who you are. That's why I always like recommend like making sure that you have a dedicated page just for your music. Put all your personal stuff aside, just focus on your music on that one page. It's going to help you in the algorithm too. And probably the most important kind of philosophy that I've based my music around, my whole like music production business, is making it easy for people to listen and to buy your music. Again, this next slide here, just a key takeaway. These 3 words: make things easily. Make things easy. If I go onto your page and I'm trying to hear your music and I can't really find it easily, or like, I have to kind of go to your website and listen to it in some way, all of these roadblocks are just going to make me lose interest. I should be able to listen to your music the same place that I listen to the new Drake album or anything else, right? If you're an artist and you're not on Spotify or all the big streaming platforms, I think you're missing out. There have been some artists, some big artists, that I've kind of lost interest over the years when, for example, I'm a big Spotify user. Like, I love Spotify. I'm always listening to Spotify, right? At the gym, in the car, at home, while cooking, I'm always on Spotify. I've had, times where some artists that I've really enjoyed, where they only put music out on Apple Music, and they don't put it on Spotify. I lose interest because I'm like, well, I'm not going to go out of my way to go on another platform that I'm not using and try and listen to your music there. Like it's too much work for me, right? So like you have to make things easier. You have to make things easy for your audience. If you're a rapper or a singer, it should be easy for me to listen to your music on all platforms. If you're a music producer, it should be easy for me to find your beats, go to your website, check out, and like understand it. The moment you create, all these roadblocks, and if people are trying to do too much work, they're gonna lose interest, and you're gonna lose out on fans, followers, plays, beat sales. You just gotta keep things easy. Again, this is just kind of what I was talking about here. That it has to be easy. The more roadblocks you have, the less fans and success you're gonna have. And this is something that I'm always keeping in the back of my mind: is how can I just make things easier? I guess even for myself and for my audience. Those are the biggest takeaways here. So I wanted to just see if there was like a couple of questions from any of you guys that you wanted me to answer. Again, we're gonna keep this replay live on the channel so you guys can watch it. I know it's a a lot of information, a lot of talking there, but if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to drop them in the chat. I did have a couple questions from a few people on Instagram who couldn't make it into this live stream that I'd still love to discuss with them. I said there was one comment here in the live chat talking about what style of music do I like, and I look like the vocalist of the In Flames metal band. I haven't heard of that band, but I'll look up to see. Oops, sorry. I'll look them up to see if I am if they're Long Lost Twin or something like that. That's funny, but what style of music do I like? So I don't know if this is like a cop out answer, but any kind of music. Like I mostly produce hip hop and like EDM kind of pop type beats. But I mean, there's just so many good music genres out there, right? And I think back to when I was starting making music, like I took a lot of inspiration from Kanye West, from Ninth Wonder, from Jay Dilla, even some people who used to produce for Tupac and Biggie, like all these like old school hip hop, 90s, early 2000s producers. I took a lot of inspiration from them. But at the same time, I was also taking inspiration from people like Skrillex and Avicii and Swedish House Mafia. So I think that like my personal like music style is kind of a combination of hip hop and kind of EDM, synth based electronic music. But I get inspiration from any genre out there. Like I'm always trying to look for new genres. And I just find like that's where I get a lot of inspiration from. I was talking with a buddy the other day. I know there's like all these reports and all these rappers are coming out to say it's like, I guess that rap sales have gone down like 40%. I forget who was talking about that. One big rapper was saying that rap sales have gone down 40%. And it's like, well, yeah, because nothing is new. Like there's not too many new things brought to the table. But then like country music is kind of increasing and seeing a boom in streaming activity. And it's like, well, I feel like there's been kind of some new waves in the country space with, hip hop and trap influence and alternative and kind of a heavier influence, right? So I'm always trying to, listen to different genres from music. Yeah, it's funny because I spoke a lot about it in this topic about consistency, but I'm still always trying to evolve. And for me personally, like I'm keeping an eye on the analytics, so I know when things start to dip, I'll try something else, right? I'm not afraid to try something else too, right? As soon as I start seeing a dip in anything, I'll try other things, see if they work, see if I can better myself in that way. And so a few other questions here. Something I got off Instagram here. Someone was asking how long it took me to get my first sale. So this is kind of a question that I definitely like see like a lot of producers who are just starting out trying to figure out how long to get your first sale. For me, it took. So I started producing beats a couple years before posting them on YouTube in 2010, and then about a month or two in, I got my first sale, and then I think in that first year of selling beats online, I think I sold like 2 or 3 beats that whole year, 2 or 3 beats. In context, this past year I've sold over 1,000 beats online. Um, so it definitely like the thing is, it's hard to put an answer on it because it did take me like a little while, but I think there's two things that come from that. One, I think that like it's easier to sell beats now because the market is so different. The type beats game on YouTube wasn't really even established when I was making beats, so like it wasn't really a thing that people were going on to YouTube to buy beats for. And again, I think it's just a matter of paying close attention to your analytics. I see times where producers post beats every single day on YouTube, but it's like, are you studying your analytics? Are these beats like truly getting sales? Do your audience like them? If you have one that did well, like keep posting that stuff, right? So pay attention to your analytics. Again, it took me a few years to sell beats, but that was in 2010. I think it's easier for any producer now, 100%. Here's someone that says, should you give yourself a runway before posting? I have posts on my Instagram, but people don't give me engagement. To give yourself a runway. I'm not sure what you mean by give yourself a runway, but I guess, for me, I had a long time where I was posting stuff on Instagram where, and this can be applied to anything too, even if you're not doing beats. But I was posting stuff on Instagram a couple of years back, and I was getting like barely any engagement. Right, it's kind of in the same boat, I guess, that you were. I was getting barely any likes, barely any comments, barely any followers. Again, I had 30K followers, but it was stagnant. I was getting like 30 likes a post and had 30K followers, right? I was getting no comments. I was like losing followers on a month basis. Even the follower count aside, because that was all stuff I brought in from YouTube years before that. I was just getting no engagement, no growth, nothing. And I would wonder, like, are you doing stuff like consistently, right? Because it wasn't until I started to do stuff consistently on Instagram is when I saw the change. And I didn't see the change overnight. I remember going back and looking at, I went from like 30K, or I went from like 30 likes on a post, and then maybe the next month I would get like 50. And the next month I would get, almost 100. And then, a couple months after that, I'd be getting kind of averaging like 250 likes a post. And it's all this kind of consistency, right? So I would say I would like challenge like yourself to make sure that you are being consistent, right? If you have posts on your Instagram but people aren't giving you engagement, like definitely don't give up. I think that like and myself included, right? It's so easy for so many people to post a couple posts online, and if they're not performing well, it's easy to get discouraged right off the bat. You just got to focus on the bigger picture of things, right? So they're saying runway, like making a bunch of videos ahead of time and then posting them a month later, like having 30, 60 videos and then post instead. So I would definitely do that. Yeah, definitely make a runway. I don't know if it has to be that long, but definitely like plan it out. I would say, long story short, yeah, definitely do that, right? Plan out your videos, batch produce them, schedule them for release. That will have you being more consistent, even if you like miss certain days. Because I know it's challenging to make stuff day by day. Even for me, like to come in here and film like a video, even with my phone, and edit it quickly. There are days where I just can't do it. I have other stuff going on. I'm out. If I have basically a library, a batch of videos created and schedule it out, that'll please the algorithm. That'll help my followers see I'm consistent. That's, I think, like the best formula there. I would think like if you're doing like 30 to 60 videos, just make sure that like you're not like, make sure you still leave room to kind of study the analytics and to make necessary changes, right? Because you might post, you might schedule 10 videos for release, and then maybe the 11th video, something about it kind of pops up or pops off or it kind of takes advantage. And then it's like, okay, if then videos 12 through 30 aren't following that same kind of success from post 11, then it kind of runs into like a little bit of an issue, right? So I would say like it's definitely good to schedule them, but make sure that you are still giving yourself time to like study the performance of each post and still trying to make everyone better, if that makes sense. Someone was also asking, when you said consistently, does it have to be daily? I don't think it has to be daily, by any means. I think that like you just need to. There's two things, or I guess a few things I keep in mind is that what is your competition doing, right? Like, is your competition posting daily? If they are posting daily, you don't have to do daily, but just keep in mind that like there are going to be people who are posting a lot more than you, and they have more chances of growth. And it's also like the more pieces of content you release, the more beats or videos or Instagram videos, the more that you release, the more chances you have of, one, blowing up and getting viral, right? So, I mean, if you are doing, for example, daily, and you do daily videos, this is crazy high example, do daily videos for a whole year. You have 365 videos of any of those videos kind of blowing up and leading to ultimate success. If you're posting one video a month, you only have 12 chances of success, right? So that's kind of the way I look at it. It doesn't have to be daily, but it has to be a balance of, what can you produce without sacrificing quality, and what your competition is doing. I would say that. Will you give feedback on people's Instagram? I definitely will. I'd have to wrap this live stream up in a minute, but I will follow up with you. If you drop your Instagram in the chat, I'll check it out, give you some pointers. If anyone else wants me to kind of review their Instagram, leave their just leave your IG handle. If you can leave it in the chat, or you can message me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Omito Beats. That's OMITOBEATS. Hit me up on Instagram or leave it in the chat. I'll do my best to reply to, to check all you guys out. But I guess like the best thing, hit me up on Instagram at Omito Beats, OMITOBEATS. I'll answer these two questions quick and then I'll have to just pop off here. Just focus on YouTube. Okay, so someone says they just discovered last week and they love it. They focus on YouTube because of the search engine, but still starting out and no much clients landing on my website yet. So I've always viewed kind of YouTube as a tool that brings traffic to my website. And I mean, as much as I kind of, study my website analytics, first thing first, I would study YouTube analytics, because that's a way, I guess, that you can get people watching your videos, like you said, because of just the big YouTube search engine, and then visiting your website. But still starting out, no clients landing on my website yet. So I would say, like, make sure that, like, I mean, there's obviously a couple of things to say. Make sure it's easily in your videos where people are, listening, where they figure out your website. Make sure you have something that entices people to visit your website, right? I'm not sure what you're doing, but music production. Okay, so maybe on your website, maybe do you have things like free sound kits or free drum kits or free beats, or maybe go to my website to download this course, or go to my website to get this, kind of a mini guide on making beats in a home studio or something like that, right? Make sure that there's something to basically entice people to going to your website like that. Also, what about advertising and marketing? This might be the last question I can answer here. What about advertising and marketing? So I think that, like, for me, like, I've spent thousands of dollars on sponsored and boosted posts before. I have had more success organically through posting stuff just consistently than I've ever had. Like I think that like boosted posts and sponsored posts, they can do like short-term views, but I mean like I think that there's so much value in posting stuff consistently that like for me, for example, posting reels on Instagram almost every day for the past 3 years, growing my account from 30K to 100K, like loyal followers. That's stuff that would have costed like so much money in boosted posts, and I probably would have been able to get that success. So I think that like, doing advertising like that, like paid posts, can kind of help you get kickstarted a little bit, but I definitely wouldn't lose sight of the consistency game, because yeah, there's still so much success to have organically. Um, yeah. No, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream. We got some other cool live streams on the way, and I might do one soon with like a real Q&A session. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment on this video. I know some of you guys wanted me to review their Instagrams too. If you hit me up on Instagram, OMITO Beats, that's Omito Beats. Definitely love to chat further with you guys too. And again, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Check out our website right there on the screen. Lullaby, got the mobile app. We got that new Orion update. I'm absolutely loving it. We got some new videos on the way soon. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream. This was really fun. And I'll talk to you guys in the next live stream and in the video. Take care.